Hey everyone. I went ahead and grabbed two new books about the Sega Saturn. They were released for its 25th anniversary. This is all about Sega Saturn, and that is as it says, Perfect Catalog. Perfect Catalog comes with this little banner for the front. If I sound off, it's because I am stopped up and I cannot hear out of one of my ears. I wanted to post this real quick because I know people on Facebook were very interested in these, and I grabbed both from Play Asia. I gave them a look, and I thought I'd give you a quick look, let you know the differences. All About Sega Saturn is $26.99, and Perfect is $28.99. This is actually a line. You can get one for the Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, and PlayStation. Of course, it's the PC Engine uh, and Mega Drive. So you're not going to have US releases, obviously, in the Japanese one. But this seems to be a one-off from this company. They do have a few All About books on PlayAsia. One is a SNK, but that was from 2000, and there was another one for Capcom fighters, but neither one of them are from this company. So I'm guessing this is just a one-time thing. So let's start off with All About, because it does have one thing I saw that the other one didn't. Now, underneath this slipcover is just this photo in black and white. Please ignore the heater. The front page, and both open up, of course, with specs. If you have Google Translate on your phone, it does a pretty good job. So I've thumbed through most of the book using Google Translate. But if you're a fan of the Saturn, you probably know a lot of this stuff already. This is talking about the pack-in title. A few timelines down here. This goes into detail about all the ports on the Saturn. And these are the different Saturn variations. The Navi Saturn, there's the skeleton, white, gray, Victor High Saturn, talks about the battery slot, peripherals. Kind of a wonky analog pad, but I've enjoyed it. I think I like it more than the Dreamcast, to be honest. Better D-pad and just not as uncomfortable. The Virtua Stick, I bought the US kind. I'm not sure if it's the same model, but it's always seemed a little off to me, a bit too stiff. There's always new stock coming available on eBay for those. Multiplayer adapter, I've actually never tried the joystick or the twin sticks. Stunner, of course, is fantastic. RAM carts. This is over in Japan, they had the X-Band. We had the Netlink. So there's some X-Band cards. Those are fun collectibles. Do have a mouse. Do not have an official keyboard, though. And here we go, the software guide. Now, what you'll see is it looks a little hard to follow at first because it's all crammed together, but they do have the release dates right here. And you can see at the top, they actually give you the total for the year. So 8 games came out in 94, Virtua Fighter being the first, but if you follow the dates, they actually show what month they came out. So you know, these are basically launch window games for the year. Now look at the increase, 144 in 1995. Key titles like Panzer Dragoon, they do get a few shots, but otherwise you get some really small ones. And I will zoom up here. As you see, the screenshots can be a little fuzzy at times. Daytona USA gets a nice placement. So you get 1 to 2 screenshots per game. Bigger games get about 3 and more text about them. The Virtua Fighter Remix, which was really nice surprise to get that in the mail from Sega. I actually registered my Saturn, so when they released it, I came home from school one day to find that in the car. Ring Lord Saga, isn't what it's called? Over here it was Mysteria, but that name was taken, so they changed it to Blazing Heroes. Fun game, I enjoyed it. D gets a nice little big spread. So as we move along, it just covers all small titles you see here. Gets 1 screenshot. A lot of smaller titles, so you're looking at a lot of 1 screenshot and very brief text descriptions of the games. So Virtua Fighter 2 and Virtua Cop get some time in the spotlight. I'll flip a few. I don't want to spoil this. This is a fun thing. So this seems to be just about discs that had colored images on them. So this is a great little aside that I don't recall seeing in the other one, but we'll check that out in a minute. That's a fun little factoid there. So 96, we jump up to 319 titles. You're going to have a lot of great ones in 96. Look, Street Fighter Zero, classic to me. I know people who can play it really well talk about how broken the earlier ones were. I don't care. It's a classic. Guardian Heroes, classic. It's surprising how many people don't avail themselves to the Street Fighter style moves in this with the Dragon Balls and stuff. Same with the Dungeons and Dragons combo. You can do all sorts of interesting moves. A lot of people just like to hammer away at the punch and attack, which I understand. It's what you're used to from Final Fight and Streets of Rage. Night Stalkers? Or is it Night Warriors? Oh, it's one or the other. Dark Stalkers, Night Warriors. That's what it is. We did not get this one in the US. We got the sequel. There are a few titles in here I had never seen before. I was surprised at that. Some looked really cool, but in further inspection, they seem to be like dating sims or something, so not something I'd pick up. Panzer Dragoon 2, little spread. Dragon Force, absolutely love this. I ran one of the earliest Dragon Force websites on the internet. I'm not kidding. I bought the game day of release, came back, and I just felt like transcribing the manual. I was so excited about it. And a few websites point that out. They linked it, and they just put, he just talks about the manual. I was just so excited. I couldn't help it. King of Fighters 95. So let me skip a few pages. So if you do buy this, I'm not completely ruining this for you. Now we're in, was it still in 96? Or now we're in 96. Lemmings 3D, Death Crimson, kind of a notorious game. They also covered things like multi-releases like Volume 2, Volume 1. I know the GameWare releases get a nod. Oh, Fighting Vipers. I never really got into Fighting Vipers, but I can see why a lot of people enjoyed it. Surprisingly, a big spread on Alien Trilogy. Maybe it was bigger overseas than I remember. Darkstalkers gets a small spread, and Alien Trilogy gets 3 screenshots. It's a good game. I'm just surprised at that. Real Bout gets a nice spread here. That's a really excellent fighter. Real Bout 2 is even better. Surprising that Street Fighter Zero only gets 2 screenshots, one of which is just Sakura doing a kick. It's not even a in-game shot, but I would give this a whole page. Favorite fighter, I think, 2D fighter of all time. Sakura Wars just got a translation. I want to say this real quick. If you have a Rhea or a Phoebe to get this to work, Sega Saturn Shiro had the recommendation for me, and it works. Go ahead, do the patching process, burn yourself a copy, and then rip that copy and run it through, what is it, ISO Buster to make it CCD so the Rhea can read it, and it'll play just fine. So really excited to try that. I've tried the one that was released over here for PS2 and Wii. I thought it was fun. So let's skip ahead a few pages. One of the mini Gundam games. There's a trilogy you can get with a slipcover. I never got the slipcover. 97, we have 351. I want you guys to really enjoy that number because soon it is going to go down drastically. But we have... Oh, this is a game Boston Burf played through. I've owned a copy for a while. I really wish it would get translated. It's something Apocalypse. It looks awesome. And I watched some of his playthrough and he really enjoyed it. Wackenroder is another one that I would love for a fan translation, but I understand it takes a lot of time on those. The Saturn's been really lucky with those lately, and I've played through all of them. Police Knots, Dragon Force 2, Shining Force 3. The only one I haven't played through yet is Sakura Wars. I just got it working day before last. Puyo Puyo Sun. You see a ton of those on eBay. Elevator Action Returns, which is very expensive. I'm pretty sure that's the one that's expensive. There's an elevator action game that fetches a lot of money. So let's skip ahead some pages here. What do we have? Oh, Bulk Slash. I enjoy this game, but it gets a lot of praise. I guess I haven't spent enough time with it, but it is heavily praised. While I enjoy it, it's not as high on my list as others. Thunder Force 5, that is excellent, however. I will say I am with the majority on that. Bulk Slash, I guess I just need to put more time into. My cover, like many others, is glued to the front. They use some sort of adhesive, and over time, it got stuck to the case, and you'll find that with most copies on eBay. Marvel Superheroes, that's nice. You'll also notice a number of full-motion video games that I have never run across. Not my genre, but I'm sure Sega CD Universe would be pretty excited about that. Last Bronx, that's a fun fighter. Very overshadowed by Soul Edge. Let's see. Virus is another kind of... It's not full motion video, but it is an adventure game that uses animated cutscenes in place of full motion. I used to all look pretty cool. I've owned a copy for a while, but has not been translated. Let's skip. Okay, we're in 97 still, so let's keep going. So you can see the number. Shining Force 3 Scenario 1. I just beat that last year. Very fun, but you can get kind of stuck periodically, and I definitely did. It took me a while. That first battle, I don't know what it is, but I had to replay that thing about 10 times. What is this? Oh, Grandia. That is undergoing a fan translation right now. There's some hiccups with some sort of encoder, but they're working on it. So I'm really excited for that. Here are Sega Saturn magazines. Again, this is another little insert this one does that's a lot of fun. So you saw the one with colored discs. Now this one talks about Sega Saturn magazine. So there's Saturn Fans, Sega Saturn magazine, Tech Saturn, Great Saturn Z. One that name is not translated. I love picking those up. Look, 98, we dropped to 215 titles. I love picking up those magazines when they were new. I go to NC National Console Support, NCSX, and I try to grab one with an order. This is, Panzer Dragoon Saga, RPG, whatever you want to call it. Another full motion video game. Oh, this has actually just been recently released on the PS4, a new entry in it. I recorded a really long demo footage of this because it came with a Sega Flash disc or Saturn Flash. It's an adventure game with full motion video clips, and in looking it up, I saw that Spike Chunsoft released a PS4 entry like last year, so you can get it cheap. I mean, it's pretty neat. Like I said, I'm not into full motion video games, but that one was kind of cool so far. I haven't completed it. This is a fighter. Is it Rabbit or something? Or Sonic Flash? I wish I could turn the translator on. There are two good fighters I found out through Sega Lord X, and that is one of them. It's killing me. If you go look up his fighters video, if it's still up, you'll find a bunch of great titles in there. Some kind of lesser known ones too. Burning Rangers. What is it? Battle Garega. I must own this 3 different ways, but not on the Saturn. I got the PS4 ports. So you see the Sega Ages releases, which we got over here in kind of a bundle through Working Designs, and included a fraction of the games. Wipeout XL, I do have the Saturn version, although it is getting pricey. You can get the PlayStation 1 version for about $20. The Saturn will go up to 100 or more. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while, but it was getting up there when I bought mine, so I just grabbed it. King of Fighters 97, nice little big spread on it. Primal Rage, I'm surprised it got 2 screenshots. That's interesting. Maybe it was bigger there than I realized. Let's see. Dragon Force 2. Not as fun to me as the first Dragon Force, but still a good game. So let me skip ahead. Okay, we're going through 98 still. Okay. Let's let the depression begin. Where's 99? I mean, you still have some really good games coming out in 98. Here's another entry. Oh, these are send-away discs. So if you wanted the Doral portrait disc, the Final Fantasy Doral portrait disc, if memory serves, you had to send them proof of purchase of all the other portrait discs. Same with the Shining Force 3 premium disc. You had to send proof of purchase. And here's a few other ones I don't know about, and they're not translated. One looks like a dressing game. I don't know. The other one looks like a racing game. Actually, that looks like Road Rash. Is that Road Rash? Maybe it's a demo disc. Let's see. There's 99. We get to 17 games. Although there is D&D, Tower of Doom. I recently bought this without the RAM cart. I already have one for Street Fighter. Awesome game. Like I said, a lot of the moves go unused when I see people play it online, or when the rare person wants to play it with me. There's a lot to do in there. There's rolling and blocking and parrying. A lot of fun. So, I mean, it's going out on a high note with that. And you have Street Fighter Alpha 3, another great game. Saturn version is probably the best version, I want to say still. Here's the X-Band releases. So you have Virtua Fighter Remix, Virtual On, 2 Virtual Ons, interesting. Sega Rally, which, and here's a Sega Rally Satakura release. It was a re-release. A thing about this is I don't own this, so if you do not own an X-Band, and every game I've tried that I've owned, the games will not boot without it. So, and in 2000 we have 3 titles, 3, including the maligned, what is this called? Final Fight Street or something? The clunky brawler, although it has Rolento in it, so that's a one redeeming quality. And this is a little section on Sega Saturn soundtracks. I don't own any. I own some vinyl, though. This is really handy. This is the Satakura releases. So you get just the name and the release date of all the titles. This is a Koi Best. They had their own releases. And this here is another Best. And so you can see King of Fighters 95 and 96 bundle. They don't have the actual King of Fighters Best Collection, which has 95, 96, and 97. But there's I found this interesting, a Zork collection, which I did not know about. I mean, I have not been paying attention to the camera. I got to see what what I'm actually focused on. This is tough. I don't know how people do this. All right, coming towards the end, and you just have an index, and that is it. So, like I said, you can use Google Translate to follow through most of this, and see, it's just the image in black and white. So, for the perfect catalog, I won't spend quite as much time on it. So this has higher quality paper. So the $2 must go towards that because the paper is much nicer. See, text is bigger as well. Chapter 1, hardware. The legend, RIP, in the Sega world. Gray Sega Saturn here. You have the boxes, which is a nice addition. I do not own, actually I own, no, I don't own any of the gold boxes. So these are the original run, including the one with Virtua Fighter, and this is a milestone edition with 100 on the front. Shows the menu, shows inside the system menu. I mean, it's an interesting choice, I guess. You don't really need to know this, but just for, I guess, completionist sake. Here's some flyers. This is a nice addition the other one didn't have, including the very odd one with the conehead creature. This talks more about tech specs than the other one does. It goes in greater detail about the processing chip, a whole section on the control pad, that it's a CD basically, what the CDs consist of, the data rate and everything, the CD-ROM drive itself. Another good one, but these are variations of packages when they released the white Saturn. I really want this Christmas Nights box. I've always loved it. It's a slip cover. I think the box I own is just this one. It's a plain, looks like the back of an old Transformers box. The Saturn variations as well, which you saw on the other one. This is a Saturn software catalog. They have a few pictures of. The V Saturn, I do own one of these. I don't own the box, unfortunately. Really fun model. If I can get the V Saturn with, it's interesting, was it Voltva? They had a release with it, a pack-in release. I have actually never I've never ran across this. I've ran across a bunch of odd Saturn stuff, but not that. And that was a big release. Or for a V Saturn, it got its own system release. The High Saturn. Good luck with this. It's pricey. The Navi Saturn, pricier if you've got the money. Looks awesome though. A Saturn that's included with other devices. STV. I recently just picked one of these up. The Saturn versions are basically very, very good ports of these games. It's essentially a Saturn. I'm really not noticing much of a difference. Photos of the different cables, which is pretty cool. You have the video encoder cards you can get that slide in the back to allow you to watch VCDs. Pictures of the boxes as well as the controllers for all the controllers. That's a nice addition. That is a nice looking controller for the High Saturn. Nice box too, gold and black. I do have the box for the cool pad, the Skeleton Saturn. More on peripherals. This one shows the dual Virtua Stick setup. The other one didn't. A single one as well with the box heart. I don't know why I'm describing everything, because if you're watching the video, you're probably watching this. But I just get a feeling people are going to minimize the window. The different RAM cards, including the one for Sakura Wars and the Capcom 4 Meg. Some more peripherals. Let's see. Talks about the software in detail, the Satacora releases. This is where the Satacora gets mentioned. It doesn't have its own kind of breakout section. This one follows a more linear progression through the years. So 94, you see each game gets more text written about it, as well as multiple screenshots, even if some of the screenshots are very tiny. As is, that's the box art actually. So some games do get one screenshot. Most get two, as you'll see. And there is more text now. If you don't know Japanese, obviously this text might not benefit you as much because you might not go through the whole thing like I did with a translator. And if you're familiar with the games, then you don't really need to. But you see that the layout is pretty clean, more text. And once we get to busy years, the games do drop to box art and screenshot, and the box art is pretty small on there. So I'll jump ahead a bit. I do miss the total library count for each year. I didn't spot that in this one. So this is supposed to cover every Saturn release. Like I said, the paper is heavier, so this is flipping over more. So skipping ahead a few years. So let's see what else. Keep it going. Dodon, or that's Dodon Patchy? Or is it Don Patchy? I forgot. Dodon is the first one, right? In any event, I do not know any of these with the full motion video with the ladies in the swimsuits. I've never actually played one. I don't have ever burned one either. Kind of a odd subgenre, but something for everyone on the Saturn. Getting on in the years here, you see that games are given about the same space for each one. Even if some are given one more screenshot, the text is about the same size. You get a few sentences. Capcom collection, the Street Fighter collection, which can go for a little bit. Now we're in 99. But this one doesn't end. This one also has some of the U.S. advertising. I wonder if they found it as odd as we did with the lady with the spiral head. A long index here. They didn't show the odd Saturn ad with the naked lady, which Sega Saturn Shiro recently talked to the guy behind that print ad. But those are the two big books that came out for the Saturn's anniversary. Are they worth it? I would think so. If you're a big fan of the Saturn like I am, there's a lot of information. Even if you don't want to go through it with a translator, just to browse them is a lot of fun. They go through all the Japanese releases. They each have a slightly different amount of information. The Perfect Catalog has more screenshots and more detail about things, but the All About does have a few lists that are much more handy. Sorry about the shaky cam here, but I have never held a phone for this long like a camera. So talk to everyone later. If you have any questions, just let me know.